Shadowed whispers. I had always been a diligent worker, never shying away from putting in extra hours to complete my tasks. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon and cast long shadows across the office, I found myself alone. The soft hum of the fluorescent lights and the occasional click of my keyboard the only sounds in the stillness. I had chosen to stay late once again to finalize a project that had been looming over me like a storm cloud. As I meticulously proofread my report, a chilling sensation crawled up my spine, as though I was being watched. I dismissed it as mere paranoia and continued to work, my fingers dancing across the keyboard. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught a movement, a fleeting shadow that vanished when I turned my head. I tried to ignore the unease that crept into my heart. It was probably just my exhaustion playing tricks on me, I reasoned. Yet as I continued typing, the feeling persisted, growing stronger with every passing moment. I glanced around, my eyes scanning the dimly lit office space. Rows of empty cubicles stood like silent sentinels, and the long corridors seemed to stretch endlessly. That's when I noticed him. James, a quiet and often overlooked colleague who had always given me an odd vibe. He was lingering near the water cooler, his eyes fixed on me. A shiver ran down my spine as our gazes locked for a brief moment. His expression was unsettling, a strange mixture of fascination and something darker. My heart began to race, and I chastised myself for overthinking. I told myself I was letting my imagination get the better of me. However, the feeling of being watched persisted, intensifying into something tangible. Gathering my things, I decided it was time to leave. My footsteps echoed through the empty office as I hurried towards the exit. The hallway stretched out before me, its dim lights casting eerie shadows on the walls. Every creak, every rustle felt like an echo of danger. I quickened my pace, my breaths coming in shallow bursts. My footsteps reverberated, and I was certain I could hear another set of footsteps matching mine. Panic surged through me. I risked a glance over my shoulder, and my heart leapt into my throat. James was following me, his gaze fixed on my back. The dim light played tricks on his face, turning his features into a haunting mask. Fear gnawed at my insides as I realized there was no mistaking his intent. I broke into a sprint, my pulse pounding in my ears. The hallway seemed to stretch infinitely, each step a struggle against the unseen force that held me back. The exit was within reach when a hand shot out, grasping my wrist with an iron grip. I yanked away, stumbling forward and barely managing to keep my balance. "Lisa, wait!" James's voice was twisted, a distorted plea that sent chills down my spine. I didn't dare look back. Adrenaline surged through me as I burst through the exit and into the cold night air. My breath came in ragged gasps as I sprinted across the empty parking lot, my mind racing with thoughts of escape. My phone was inside the office, and I realized I had no way to call for help. I took a glance back and saw James emerging from the building, his silhouette elongated by the moonlight. His pursuit was relentless, and I knew I had to find safety before it was too late. I spotted a nearby diner, its neon sign a beacon of hope in the darkness. I burst through the diner's entrance, my chest heaving as I frantically explained my situation to the startled staff. They dialed the police, and as I waited, I couldn't shake the feeling of James's eyes burning into my back. When the police arrived, they searched the area but found no trace of James. They assured me they would increase patrols in the vicinity and recommended I take extra precautions. The fear lingered, though, an invisible weight that I carried with me long after that night. It was a wake-up call, a reminder that danger could be lurking in the shadows, even in the places we considered safe. The experience taught me to trust my instincts and never underestimate the power of fear. And as I moved forward, I vowed to never let my guard down, to always be aware of the darkness that could hide behind a seemingly ordinary facade. As I stepped into the sterile, fluorescent-lit corridors of the massive distribution center, I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. This was my first job out of college, and it was ironic that I'd end up working in a place as vast and cold as this freezer facility. My task was simple: organizing inventory during the holiday weekend. The company assured me that this was a great way to prove myself. With my winter coat zipped up and gloves on, I ventured into the heart of the freezer. My breath formed frosty clouds in front of me as I maneuvered the towering racks filled with frozen goods. Time passed slowly, the hum of the refrigeration units creating an eerie, constant background noise. Hours turned into a monotonous blur, and the facility grew quieter as the holiday weekend began. My fellow employees left for their much-anticipated time off, while I remained in the frigid abyss, consumed by the task at hand. As the last hours of the day faded away, I found myself alone in the maze of shelves. My breath quickened as I realized I had lost my bearings. Panic surged through me as I searched for an exit. My footsteps echoed eerily in the empty expanse. I felt a tremor of unease crawl up my spine when I realized that the door was locked. An icy dread settled in as I realized the truth. I was trapped. The heavy metal shelves seemed to close in on me, and the freezer's temperature felt even more unbearable. I checked my phone, no signal. I pounded on the metal door, my cries for help swallowed by the cold silence. As the hours turned into darkness, desperation took over. I wrapped myself in frozen cardboard and tried to keep moving to stay warm. Hunger gnawed at my stomach, and the biting cold was seeping into my very core. The freezer became a living nightmare, each creak and groan of the rack sounding like whispers in the dark. I wandered around for what seemed like hours, hoping I would find an emergency exit, but no luck. At this point, I couldn't feel my feet. My face became numb. I screamed for help, hoping anyone would hear me. With each passing hour, my hope waned, but my determination grew. I spotted a pallet jack and managed to wedge it under a shelf, creating a makeshift ladder. My fingers were numb and my muscles ached, but adrenaline fueled my efforts. I climbed, slipping and struggling until I reached the top. There, I saw an access panel that led to the building's main controls. With trembling fingers, I managed to manipulate the controls, hoping to trigger an alarm or open the door. The sudden sound of machinery whirring to life was like music to my ears. Lights blinked, and a dull hum filled the air as the door finally released its hold on me. The door slowly creaked open, revealing the dimly lit corridor beyond. My legs gave out as I stumbled onto solid ground, a mix of relief and exhaustion washing over me. One of my coworkers, who had returned back to pick up some of his forgotten tools, rushed to my side, helping me to my feet as he yelled out for help. In the warmth of the building, my body began to thaw, but the memories of those frozen hours haunted me. The tale of my chilling ordeal spread quickly through the facility, and suddenly I wasn't just the new employee anymore. I was the girl who had fought against the frozen darkness and won. As I stood there, wrapped in a warm blanket and surrounded by concerned faces, I couldn't help but reflect on the surreal experience. The freezer had been a testing ground, a crucible of survival that had transformed me from a novice into a survivor. And while the shadows of that frigid nightmare would forever linger, so would the strength and resilience that had pulled me through. Chilling encounter at the midnight office. Hey there, folks. So I ain't really a storyteller or nothing, but I just gotta share this crazy thing that happened to me a while back. I work at this office, doing the whole 9 to 5 grind like everyone else. It was just another late night. Me trying to wrap up some work cause my boss is all about deadlines. So there I was, sitting at my desk, bathed in that harsh fluorescent light that makes your skin look all pale and washed out. I'd been there for hours, minding my own business, typing away on my keyboard like a champ. But then, out of nowhere, I see something that made my heart do this weird flip-flop. One of them office lights down the hall just flickered on. Now you might think, hey, lights flicker all the time, big deal. But let me tell you, this light didn't just flicker. It came on like someone had flipped a switch. And the thing is, ain't nobody supposed to be in that area at that hour, because everyone else had already packed up and gone home. Naturally, I'm getting all curious, right? So I start heading down the hallway, kinda slow, trying to play it cool. And that's when I saw him, this dude, or whatever you want to call it. He was tall, wearing this old-fashioned suit like he stepped out of a black and white movie. I mean, who dresses like that in this day and age, right? But that ain't even the weirdest part. The guy's just walking down the hallway like he's got some important business to attend to. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe he's a janitor or something, working the graveyard shift. But then, get this. He walks into one of the offices, the same office where poor old Jerry had his heart give out a few years back. Yeah, you heard me right. A heart attack right there in that very office. Now, I ain't superstitious or nothing, but I couldn't help feeling a shiver run down my spine. I mean, who walks into a dark office at this time of night? I was standing there, staring at the door like a deer caught in headlights, half expecting the guy to come out or something. But he never did. It was like he just vanished into thin air. The next morning, I'm grabbing a cup of joe in the break room, trying to shake off that weird vibe from last night. And that's when my coworker Mike comes over looking all serious. He's been at the company for ages, so he's got all the office gossip stored up. Mike goes, "Hey, you know that office where you saw that guy last night?" I nod, my heart doing that flip-flop thing again. Then he drops the bomb. Turns out that office isn't just any office. And Jerry isn't the only person that died in there. He was the third one. After Jerry, they closed off the office. Now it's more like a storage unit. I gotta admit, my jaw practically hit the floor. Mike starts telling me how some folks say they've seen strange things happening in there, like papers moving on their own, and weird noises when no one's around. And it hit me like a ton of bricks. That guy I saw, he looked kinda out of place, like he didn't belong in our time. I've been trying to wrap my head around it, you know? Was it my tired eyes playing tricks on me? Or did I really see something that night, something that ties back to Jerry's sudden end? I ain't got all the answers, but I can tell you this. That office ain't just four walls and a door. There's something more going on there. And if you ever find yourself burning the midnight oil at that place, keep an eye out, because you might just come face to face with something that'll leave you wondering what's real and what ain't. So there you have it, my little tale of the strange and the inexplicable. Maybe I'm just another regular guy caught up in some late-night delusions, but I swear, cross my heart, every word of this is true. Just remember, things ain't always what they seem, and sometimes the past might just come knocking on your office door. Stay curious, stay safe, and maybe keep an extra eye on them office lights. You never know what might be lurking in the shadows. Thank you for the support, guys, and remember to hit the like button and to subscribe to Office 13 for more content.